Are you lying?
Yeah.
Why are you not saying?
Because you have to give it like 10 seconds. Because if you don't give it 10 seconds when you go live, what happens is on the playback, you hear There's like this weird delay.
Oh.
So, thank you for the brownie. We're having brownies, and she's having milk and beer for some weird reason.
First off, I'm eating the milk. I'm drinking the milk with the brownie, and then I'll resume the beer after I'm done with this.
That's a weird mix, man. Milk and beer. And I'm having a brownie and whiskey. You get me loose, we're going to have some good talk on this podcast,
yeah.
you know?
You have actually, I'm pretty sure you don't know this about me because I don't know if you've ever seen me drunk more than twice. But when I drink alcohol...
When you have alcohol and milk, you get super crazy?
I crave dairy. It is the weirdest thing. Anyways.
So, yeah, today's topic, I have a question for you. Do you think... Is OnlyFans cheating? If you're in a relationship, right? Like, clearly, like, you don't have an issue if I were to look at porn. I don't have an issue if you were to look at porn. If you were to read porn, like, you know, romance novels, quote unquote, right? But do you view, is OnlyFans different? Because, let me just ask you that. Is OnlyFans different?
No.
Now, before you say that...
Hold on. There's an asterisk there, or whatever, like the little boop boop star in the corner with no as the answer. And then when you see below to the little star at the bottom for the fine print, are you lying about it to your significant other doing this?
Well, no, let's say you're open and honest about it. But, so, my boy asked me this at work. He was like, hey, if you're in a relationship... Can you because you know, like going to OnlyFans.
Oh, hold on. You mean subscribe?
I'm talking about subscribing to somebody's OnlyFans.
Not doing.
Can you turn this off?
It's off, and it should be done in the next few minutes.
No, we're talking about subscribing to someone's OnlyFans while you're in a relationship.
Ooh, boy, that's different.
That is different, and we had this conversation yesterday.
I think dynamics matter.
Dynamic for what?
The relationship.
Okay. What do you mean?
Like, in my mind, this is off the cusp, right? You want to pay $5 or $10. I don't know how much OnlyFans is. Let's just say
it's a cup of coffee. It's $3.75 a month.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
Hypothetically.
But I know they can kind of charge whatever. But it's $5 or $10 a month. You want to subscribe to this?
You're in a relationship. Is it okay for your significant other to subscribe to somebody's OnlyFans?
I think it depends on the dynamic.
What's the dynamic? What?
I can only draw off our
Okay,
dynamic.
in our relationship, how would you feel? First off, I ain't subscribed to nobody's OnlyFans. That's number one. Let me just get that out there. How would you feel if I was subscribed to somebody's OnlyFans? I was paying $5 a month for access to a person's content.
Okay, real talk. This is you and me.
Real talk.
And I find out you don't tell me beforehand that you want to.
Is that the dynamic that you have to tell a person beforehand?
There's so many things at play here. But if I just happen to find out you subscribe to someone's OnlyFans and you didn't tell me, you sure as fuck gonna be paying your portion of the phone bill and your fucking car insurance. Yeah. Hold on, because in our dynamic.
What does OnlyFans have to do with the phone bill and some car insurance?
Because if you got enough money to help old girl pay her phone bill and car insurance, listen, without a previous conversation, like I just stumble across, however I find out that you're like, yeah, I pay $10 a month, just like we do Netflix, HBO, blah, blah, blah. The shit that I control in my life, in that financial world, because, listen to me, look at me.
Well, I feel like I'm in trouble, and this is a hypothetical conversation.
It's a hypothetical, but I want people should know this, I guess, since we're doing this live. I run this house. I do your laundry. I take care of all the animals. I'm the one who mows the yard. I fix the fucking sink. I cook you meals and stay up till 11:30 at night, like cooking you fresh meals that are hot on your plate when you walk in. Okay? I take care of you.
Okay.
So if we haven't had a previous conversation, and it's not as much as you, but I could contribute financially.
Okay, get to the point of
So
the
the point
OnlyFans.
is, if I'm giving you 100% wife and contributing 35% financially, and I just find out you're paying someone else $10 a month, like,
Well, how did it get to be $10 a month? I said $3.75.
$3.75. It don't matter. I would just be upset in the way that I would just be like, whoa, bro, like, I'm doing.
Okay, I got it. Okay, I
everything.
get it. I get it.
I'm not.
So,
Listen, I'm not yelling at you.
No, you seem like you're getting mad, and I didn't do anything. We're having a hypothetical conversation.
When
and
do I ever get mad at you?
You're reading me the rights.
I
So
think-
does the issue come down to whether or not the man tells? Like, if I were to come, okay, let me ask you this: how would you feel if I came to you and I was like, "Hey, yo, there's this girl. I want to subscribe to her OnlyFans. It's $5 a month."
I'd be like, "Let me see." Yeah, I mean, I would be like, I feel like it would be not a conversation like, "Oh, you have to have my permission," because I'm sure, pay for shit every month. I have no fucking clue what you pay for. That's your business. However, if you came to me, I'd be like, well, let's see what it's about, because I feel like I'm a pretty open person, and I'm like, if you're into something that she's doing, I'm into things that you are into if it benefits me, right? So it's kind of one of those where it'd be like a conversation like that, where I'd be like, yeah, subscribe, pay the $5, and let me see what videos you watching.
Okay, so okay, all right. That sounds like you're having to. It sounds like you're having to co-sign. Like you would only be okay with it if you. Is there any circumstance in this hypothetical situation?
Mm-hmm.
If the guy, me, if I came to you and said, hey, I want to subscribe to this chick's page, it's not important who she is, it's not important what she does. I just want to subscribe to it because it's something I'm into. However, I want this to be just something for myself. Like, would you be okay with that? Now, I'm going to tell you what my boy Alejandro said, if in case Alejandro is watching, because he had a very good point. He was like, look, the reason why, like, you don't have an issue in general, people don't have an issue with and some partners do have a problem with their partners watching porn, right?
I think more than you are giving credit to.
Right. But he was like, shout out to my boy Alejandro. He was like, look, most people don't have a problem with that per se because that's not reality. And you will never be in contact with that person that you're looking at. OnlyFans is different because you can subscribe. I've heard.
Yeah.
So I've heard,
you
allegedly.
You can tip them, you can pay for private shows.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
From what I read on Google, you can subscribe and you can, do tips. You can get like private messages and stuff, private videos. There's a level of somewhat intimacy there.
Yeah.
Right? Do you consider that cheating? If the guy doesn't tell the wife and is subscribed to OnlyFans, or do you think that that's cheating?
Man, I wish I could be like, cheating is so fucking black and white. Like in some cases, yeah, it is. And then in other, like this is what makes me go, okay, it can be a little nuanced, because like, I wouldn't think that you were cheating.
It's definitely different than like just
I wouldn't think that
something.
you were cheating. Because that's kind of the thing of like, if you were like, hey, everybody's going to the strip club Friday night and I'm going, I'm not saying I have to be, but I feel like I would be telling myself, if I'm honest, I'd be like, all right, no big deal. However, I might say something to you, I might not, but it'd be like, make sure to keep your fucking hands to yourself.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because what I was going to say is that, like, would it make a difference if the OnlyFans girl was in town? Right? So, like, you can subscribe to somebody that's in Ireland.
We talked about
right?
this, knowing
But
people.
would you subscribe? What if I was subscribed to somebody that I knew from work? Would that make a difference?
We're talking about this, but boy, this is just, because see, I feel like in general it's different. Alejandro has a very good point with it being more intimate, right? I think in general, my thing comes in with paying for it. You could get on that website all day long that's free. Pornhub, right? I don't give a shit. When monies start being exchanged, that is kind of where my problem comes in. Just because I look, now this is me and you, just because when I look at our dynamics, that's where I revert back to when you were like, oh, I feel like you're yelling at me, like, and I'm not, but where I would go, oh yeah, okay, well, since you bring to the table so much, but when we break down the dynamics, financial, protective, stability, provide and protect, and I bring all the things that I bring to the table, that is not the protection and the providing, is the man and the woman. When finances change, to me, that changes then the dynamics. And now maybe you're going to be a little bit more financially responsible.
But that doesn't make any sense. Stop. How would a guy subscribing to a $3.75, which is a very specific amount, by the way, a $3.75 a month OnlyFans subscription, how would that constitute changing the financial dynamics of a household? That doesn't make any sense.
If you didn't tell me.
Because if I spent $3.75 on a cheeseburger, you're not gonna be like, oh, we gotta change our bills around because you're spending $3.75 on a cheeseburger. So why would it matter? It's not the financial aspect of it. It's the intimacy aspect of it, which is weird to me. That so like in a real sense, people don't have an issue. The people that don't have the issue, because there are a large amount of people that have an issue with pornography, right?
Right.
The people that don't have an issue with their partner watching pornography have some sort of feeling about them subscribing to OnlyFans because that's intimate. However, hang on.
Mm-hmm.
However, they would find a way to be okay with their partner going to a strip club where you're literally face to face with this chick and she lives in your fucking town. Like that, to me, the strip club would be the most dangerous, and you're exchanging money. But you're going to exchange more than $3.75 at a strip club.
But at a strip club, okay, but now, this is where you have to break it down a little bit further.
Break it down.
You go to a strip club, literally, every guy, I don't know, I'm assuming.
You ain't never been to no strip club. You don't even know what you're talking about.
I poked my head around the corner once.
Yeah.
So, the difference is, those women are there to work. And I'm not saying they're not getting some work put on them, but if there are 100 dudes in a strip club, she is choosing who to go home with. So the likelihood that any average guy is going to be screwing a stripper, it's generally such a one and done, even if it did happen. He's not over there trying to replace his woman at home with the chick from the strip club. And that is no shame to strip club workers, but most men have no feeling if it comes to cheating, right? For the most part, it's just like, oh, they just want to go have sex and then that's it. You have to put a lot of money and literally typing, like messaging and all kinds of schmoozing with your OnlyFans person, getting more emotionally invested, if that makes the lack of a better word. Yeah. So for me, that's where I get what you're saying. That
don't be gassing these chicks up. These girls live in a one bedroom with no furniture, eating hot Cheetos all day. It ain't fucking difficult to pull no damn OnlyFans girl. I mean, like top tier maybe. So I've heard, allegedly.
Listen, all of this, I don't want to say is kind of moot.
Well, I have a point that I'm getting to. Now that we've gotten through that, okay? Alejandro was dropping some heat yesterday. So he asked about the OnlyFans, is that cheating? Okay?
Yeah. So
then he asked a question, is it inappropriate for friends so like say that a guy has a 19, 22 to 25, 19, 25.
That's how the guy is.
A guy, no.
Oh.
A guy
okay.
who works, like we were like, okay, so in our security company.
Okay.
One of our security guards has a 19 to 25-year-old daughter. Is it out of line for the other guys who work for that security company to subscribe to her OnlyFans?
You're asking the wrong.
I'm asking you. Is that off the table? Is that out of line? Because that's the conversation that we had.
This goes back to those conversations where we go, could you?
Versus should you?
But you're also asking the wrong person because I'd be like, no, it's not inappropriate.
No, it's not inappropriate?
I read this shit all the time. What are you talking about? Like, dad's best friend? Like, you're talking to the wrong person. And
is the onus on, okay, so let me ask you this. Is the onus on the co-workers to not, like, do they owe that co-worker any sort of
hell no.
respect? Because, and we're talking about a woman that's of age, you know, she's
Right.
19 to 25.
Right.
Do those co-workers owe that guy any level of respect to not subscribe to her OnlyFans if she's putting it out there?
I think that's each individual person's moral compass. But if as someone, if I was that young woman and I had that, you go into, we have had this conversation with different things just pertaining to us. Like, you have to go in eyes wide open and know that people you know are going to be paying to subscribe to that. And you have to be okay. You don't have to, I guess. But I feel like, my opinion, you have to be okay with that. So if I did that,
territory.
It comes with the territory. It's no different than our girl from back home, the tattooist, who started hers last year.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we both were like, oh my gosh, like, we don't know her that well, but we have met her several times and been around her at conventions where we were just like, wow. And then I'm like, oh, did you subscribe? And you're like, no, you know, but it's one of those where she knows when she puts it on her Facebook, where she's friends with hundreds or a few thousand of us, people that she knows, when she posts, hey, new post up on OnlyFans, like that, any one of us could go subscribe, and you have to be okay with that. So I feel like it's twofold. If it's, I don't want to bring any of your children into this, but let's just say your
no, keep my kids out of this.
Your coworker's daughter.
Yeah.
Your coworker's
Because my kids
daughter,
would never do any shit like this.
says every parent.
Right.
The question is, do your parents know that you do this? So if your parents know that you do this, and like your friends know that you know your kids do this, that's each one's own individual. If one of my girlfriend's sons did this, but it was all public knowledge that he had an OnlyFans, I would feel no moral obligation to tell my friend I subscribe to her son's OnlyFans. I would not lose a lick of sleep at night. And on the flip side of that, if my friend didn't know that her son was doing OnlyFans, I'm not going to be the whistleblower who's like, hey, you know, I pay $10 a month to watch your son.
Somebody asked the questions, said, what we should talk about is doing OnlyFans and being in the security industry. So in Yakima, which is in Washington, right? I think it's Yakima. In Yakima, and I have a video about this on my page, there's a police officer who was doing OnlyFans content while on the job. So he's, you know, and I didn't know this, but I feel like I can say this without being out of line. I had a gay guy that told me, because I know a lot of gay guys at work. Mm-hmm. Okay. This where the conversation happened, was at work. A gay guy told me that he heard about this story and that is a big fetish, but it had, like, people that are into that, they don't want you to play the role. They are into, like, actual cops being in their uniform. Like, it's not enough.
Right.
It's not enough for, like, you to go and get, like, an
Yeah.
Amazon.com cop uniform. Like, they want, like, the real thing. Because it's the power dynamic, right?
Duh.
I don't know nothing about this.
Hold on. I can relate to the gay men who have that fetish, because I'm like, hey, when you come home or you're in full uniform, I'm always like, yep.
So this guy, he got fired for making content while on the job, like in the squad car, like,
yeah.
doing all kinds
I
of
feel
stuff.
like that's a big no-no.
Yeah, I think that the issue, like,
Work in general.
people were saying that he was getting fired for doing OnlyFans. I think it's the fact that he was doing it while in uniform and while on the job.
Yeah.
So I don't think that, like, security guards, you know, we're not cops. So security guards shouldn't have any sort of, like, moral, what?
But should you be in your whole getup? We've had.
I don't think you should have any, like, company. Look, if you're doing it and you have your company shirt on, that's going to probably lead to some problems. If you're doing it in your vest and
cargo pants, and
you know what I mean,
boots,
cargo pants or whatever, like, I guess that's fine. Like, I don't know. I personally wouldn't do it.
I feel like that'd like be me getting fired if I had a leather girl's OnlyFans and I'm wearing leather goods, right? I know I work for myself, but that would be kind of stupid though if someone's like, "Oh, you shouldn't."
Some
wear leather.
states have, what's crazy is some states have ethical and moral clauses in their state certification. So you do have to remember that if you work as a security guard, you are people gonna like roast me for saying this. You are a state agent. You're a state certified agent.
Right.
So, you do have a level of responsibility to say police that is a little bit of
Toe the line, maybe.
Yeah, toe the line. But you just never know. You won't know until you do it.
But we're not saying that you should.
I'm not saying that you should. I'm not saying that you shouldn't.
Okay, what do you think though about your friends? Like, if your friend had a legal.
Personally, I wouldn't do it. I'm a very respectful person of my friends. I'm respectful of boundaries. Now, if I was already subscribed to somebody and then I found out that she was related to or was daughters of somebody that I worked with, it would come down to how close I am to that person. There's 3 people that I work with, 4 people that I'm close to. 4 people that I'm close to, maybe 5 to 6 that I really like respect.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody on the peripheral of that, man, I'm fucking screenshotting shit and
sending it to me
and posting it in the group chat.
It. No, you're not.
Fuck.
You would not do that. You are so full of shit.
This is a horrible thing to even be talking about because I have 3 daughters. Like, that's, you know what I mean?
Hold on. As me and you and your 3 daughters, prime.
Don't say nothing crazy out of pocket.
Prime example of what you and I would never talk about. Like, I would not be ringing that bell to you. I tell you that right now. So just know that is one. And we have always said, and we have said to your kids so many times, like, that you and I do not keep secrets.
Don't say this right now.
I would not be coming to you. Let me tell you though, because I'd treat it like a Lexi and Quinn type of situation, and I'd be asking the questions like, does your mom know? And then depending on how that goes, I would have to like explain all the ways that it could come back, potentially in a very bad way.
Yeah, we're just gonna veer off of my kids because I ain't trying to go down that road.
You know what's gonna be? It's gonna be your son.
No. I asked. Listen, that was another thing that we talked about. Alejandro and I were like, Alejandro was like, well, maybe it was me that brought it up. I said, would you rather your son be on OnlyFans, like going off, or your daughter? And he said he would rather his son. What would you, if you had a boy and a girl, which would you rather be in that situation? It's hard to imagine. Like, I cannot say with any sort of like comfortableness that I would want my daughters doing OnlyFans. I can't. I would be more apt to accept my son doing it because he's a man and he's making that decision, but I would not want my daughters doing it.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's rough. Probably son.
Why? Like, that's crazy. Why do you think that? Why do you think everybody says that?
I think for me personally, I can only base it on, I don't know that they're factual things, but everything that I see, read, hear, and watch concerning women who are OnlyFans people. I haven't heard any stories, seen, heard, watched, read any stories of like women who do OnlyFans and they're doing it like they're socking that money away. They're making smart choices, maybe financially. It's the glitz and the glamour and the fucking stupidity that you see concerning that. And you know what I'm talking about when we watch the podcast?
Yeah,
right? Yeah. But I have seen and read men who do that, and they're like, yeah, I paid off my fucking house, and I do this and this. Like, I don't want to say that it's like, it's just, boy, I'm going to get raked over the coals for this, but they're just still so rational.
The men are?
The men are.
Yeah. And
there's just a lot of, I think, stereotypical glitz and glamour that women or, young women get swept up in.
I mean, listen, y'all can't even make the right decision between a man and a bear. You know what I mean? So you can't expect you guys to be making good decisions about life choices over here in this bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I think is crazy? Can I just say what the most crazy aspect of this entire conversation is? Like, when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, shredded, young, virile. I got 4 kids in 8 years, 4 years, 7 years, right? I couldn't miss. You know what I mean? I should have been out there up in these streets making some money. If I could go back, I would be a gigolo. I would be like the dude that's like with the older women.
First off,
going to France and jet setting around the world.
I won't name names, but what are you talking about? I just told you like 2.5 years ago, before we moved to our neighborhood now, our old neighbor was like, he could turn you out in them streets and make a ton of money. What are you talking about? You wouldn't really do it, because of course I was like, well, shit. Okay. Not the kind of streets you're really interested in, though, so you know who I'm talking about. There's only one old neighbor that I love so much.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Not really the streets you're interested in, but he's like, if I could turn my one brother and you out, he's like, I'd be rich. Yeah. I'm like, we'd all be rich. Yeah. But the original, and then I have a question that goes back to the original.
What is your question?
Kind of question we were talking about. But serious to God, would you ever tell me, like, if you subscribed to an OnlyFans?
Yes, and I don't. I don't subscribe to anybody's OnlyFans.
I think you should.
I feel like you're grilling me right now.
Do you think it's cheating? You didn't answer the first.
I think. Look. So if you turned it around and it was a guy, if it was your girlfriend or your wife, subscribe to a dude's OnlyFans. Mm-hmm. I think that's way too intimate, because you can have one-way conversation. You know what I mean? You can pay for like individual personalized videos.
Right.
And like that to me is too personal. Yeah.
So if
I think that
I want to pay.
Yeah, like, because like, well, my question would be like, why do you want to do that? Like, what is it about this guy? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like, if you were making the decision to pay to subscribe to somebody's content, I would think that there is definitely a shift in your mindset that you're into this dude way more than just the surface level of like watching porn or something, So like, when I thought about it from that perspective, like, I understand where a woman would come from in that respect.
But that's why I said dynamics matter. And then you have, and you're like, why does it come back to financially? Well, it's like, because then we're getting down to the basis of dynamics in a relationship. Well,
you were saying financial, like, you were taking it to a more circular conversation around, like, you were taking it to the extreme of how you would respond. I think that if you look at it just on the surface level of a guy paying for content that he could easily just get for free, what he's paying for is the intimacy aspect that comes along with OnlyFans that you don't get from like Pornhub, right? So that is the issue. What is it about this intimate connection that you're wanting and you're willing to even make this small contribution?
But if we're honest, if women want emotional intimacy, so now if you're willing to give emotional intimacy to someone else and pay to have that emotional intimacy with someone else in that factor, then now you're taking away from my emotional intimacy I get from you.
Yeah.
You better come up in that financial intimacy then, right? That's where it all boils down for me, where it's like, okay, if we're doing this.
But some other women would be like, it's not even about that. They would be just like, this is a referendum on our relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then that begs the question I had with porn in general. Do you, not you, but the question kind of is, well, I guess I had two, but do you watch porn tell your partner about what you watch, you know, like watching porn. If you masturbate, I don't know if I'm allowed to say all these words on YouTube. I don't know what the protocol is. But, like, do you or should you tell your partner those things?
Should you tell your partner?
Like, should you be... Okay, so really, it's masturbating while in a relationship. This is what I have written down. Should people do it whenever they want? Should they tell their spouse? What's the conversation around that when you're in a committed relationship?
You know what? I think this is one of those topics where, like, there's topics where people are never 100% honest. You know what I mean? I think this is one of those topics where people are never 100% honest. Like, I definitely don't want to on camera, like, get into that aspect of, like, you know. But I think that in a perfect world, in a perfect relationship, maybe you would talk about it to set boundaries. Like, I don't think that we've ever talked about that to, like, set boundaries or anything. Have you ever been in a relationship where someone's been like, hey, just so you're aware, like, you know, this is what I do and when I do it and where and...
No.
Neither have I. I've never been in a relationship before. Well, I've been in one relationship where someone was open and honest about that in general, period. And, you know, I'm damn near 50 years old. So that goes to show you, like, how many people aren't open and honest about that. Like, that's such a, what's the word I'm looking for? That's a very vulnerable topic.
Yeah.
I don't think people are willing to have that conversation. You and I talk about a lot. We talk about more than anybody that you and I both know. We're open and honest about more than anybody that we know. Where people would admit it. But...
yeah. I think people get into... If you... Boy, that would be hard. No pun intended. If I think it's a vulnerable thing because people don't talk about it if they don't have a healthy sex life with their partner. That's where I think it gets really contentious in a relationship because if they don't have a healthy sex life, right? But...
hold that thought. A. Blanton says, your Bones and Brew honeycomb shirt is awesome. Thank you. I respect that and I appreciate that. Make sure you guys support my company, Bones and Brew, securitygear.com. Get yourself some t-shirts and some morale patches. I have a new morale patch that will be dropping probably in June. My birthday is in June. And I have a dope new patch coming out in June. So, yeah, excuse me for plugging my company right there. Go ahead.
Well,
it's crazy to me, like, how... Okay, so this is a perfect conversation right now. So now we've gotten through all that.
Okay.
You know, I don't know what to tell you guys. We talk about sex a lot because it's important.
Yeah.
How many sexually frustrated security guards there are?
Oh,
this is... Okay, all right. So, because so many security guards are sexually frustrated, they are so susceptible to drama, right? A lot of things, this is something that I see a lot of, right? I see a lot of security guards who never get attention from females. Outside of their job, they have zero interaction with women. They have zero attention from women. They have zero conversations with women. And when they're working in a security capacity at a bank, at a retail establishment, at a shopping mall, because they're in a uniform and because they have a position, they are put in proximity to women. It doesn't matter how unattractive you are. It doesn't matter how broke you are. It doesn't matter how goofy you are. If you stand in one spot in close enough proximity to a woman long enough, she's going to talk to you. Especially in a situation where you have a gun, You have a little bit of perceived authority, especially if you're living in Portland like we do, where, at any given time in any retail establishment, a crackhead or a homeless person or an angry person just is going to pop up and start doing crazy shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that woman, now she's talking to you, she's giving you some attention. Guys, listen, if this sounds familiar to you, okay, don't fucking fall in love. Don't be falling in love and getting all sprung and putting the contract in a weird position and doing dumb shit. She's not into you, bro. You're just there. Like it's strip club reality. Strip club reality is the guy who's telling all his friends, "No, man, I'm serious. I go down to, Club Sin with a Y, and Champagne, the dancer that comes in on Tuesday. No, she's really into me. She told me.
It's awfully specific. I'm kidding.
Champagne that comes in on Tuesday, she's really into me. She told me. She gave me a phone number. It just rang, but I left her a message and she told me she got it. I see guys fucking falling in love at work. And it's always the dudes that are in close proximity to these women who are just giving them a little bit of sunshine. It's like, Jesus Christ, bro. Just do your job. Focus on your job. Stop falling in love and getting all caught up. And we had a guy, he came in, God bless him. He's a good kid. Oh, if you're watching, no disrespect, bro. You're a good kid. But he came in and told me that he got a job at one of the prisons, and it's the women's prison. And me and Brian both were like, bro, you need to watch out. Like, they're going to see you coming. They're going to smell you a mile away. And he was like, oh, no, I'm going to be fine. We're like, no, you're not. Like, you don't understand. I've worked in the prison system. Like, you do not understand. They are going to eviscerate you, bro. And it's nothing you can do about it. We can already see how this is going to end.
That sounds...
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do y'all know that I had a attorney and a friendship with a famous black widow? You guys know what a black widow is? It's a woman that kills her husband.
I think we talked about her a few weeks ago. Briefly.
Did we?
Briefly, yeah.
Did we talk about that?
Briefly on
a live stream?
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. Somebody says, damn, I'm caught. Yeah, I see you. I see you messing around with the women at work. Jake Judson said, I'll be the guinea pig for security to do an OnlyFans page. I'm not subscribing, but I will be your consultant. I just charge 10%. 10% off the top. Somebody says, I put this in the same way I see sex worker industry. Make it legal and decriminalize it, but put major safety regulations on it. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, back to my black widow. Her name was Maria Spencer. You guys can Google this situation, right?
They did a 2020 on her.
Yep. I think it's actually 48 hours. The TV show 48 Hours, they did a whole story on this. She was my attorney, and her husband at the time, his name was Frank Spencer. And Frank was a wrestling coach. He was also into like little race cars. He had like little race cars with his kids. And he's actually the cousin of the NASCAR racer Jimmy Spencer. Okay. So these people had a real tumultuous relationship. They were always fighting, getting into it, all kinds of crazy shit. And long story short, they were going through a really bad divorce, and neither one of them wanted to work with the other in terms of separating the kids. They had a daughter and a son. The daughter and son are probably well in their mid-20s at this point, but at the time, they were teenagers and middle schoolers. But yeah, the wife like allegedly cut his brake lines. He allegedly set her house on fire. Just all kinds of crazy back and forth. And now I remember telling the story, but yeah, it was 4th of July weekend, maybe 2013-ish, 2014-ish. And I had run into Frank, and he had just got back from Puerto Rico, had gone on a vacation, and Maria was sick with like some sort of kidney disease and needed a kidney transplant. And I asked him how she was doing, and he goes, "I hope she fucking dies." And I said, "Frank, don't say that. That's the mother of your child, the mother of your kids." And he was like, "You know what, Damien?" He goes, "There's 3 billion people in this earth, and you're not going to get along with all of them. And I fucking hate her. I hope she fucking dies." And that was the last conversation I had with him. 2 days later, I get a phone call while I'm sitting having dinner on a riverboat on the 4th of July, and they told me that he had gotten killed. And it's crazy because at the time I ran a gym, and she came into the gym with this guy, and this guy was doing push-ups, like knuckle push-ups. And he just looks like a meathead. And I go over to him, and he stands up, and then I realize that he's an old man. He looks like Joe Pesci. Like 5'3", 5'4", just a little dude, but just a brick house of a dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she goes, "Yeah, this is my dad, Rocco." And I'm like, "Oh, nice to meet you, Rocco. Like, where are you from?" And he was like, "Oh, I've been in prison. I just got let out yesterday." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And come to find out, like, this motherfucker was a legit hitman for like some New York, New Jersey mob, has a record a mile long, and they fucking assassinated Frank on the 4th of July, or the day before, the 3rd. And he runs off to Argentina, and the wife dips out. They find the wife. It takes them like 6 months to find the father, who's hiding in Argentina, and extradite him back to Pennsylvania, like all that shit. And I told Morgan about that when we first met, and we're sitting at a pizza joint like
In the bar.
a year later in the bar, and it comes on 48 hours.
I think it was 2020.
Was it 2020? I think it was 48 hours. It doesn't matter. But we're sitting in like a damn bar of a restaurant, and it comes on, and I'm like, that is my attorney. That's my story right there. And everybody's watching, and Morgan's like, he knows these people. He knows these people. And they're all like, the fuck? Like, we're in small town Missouri, and they're talking about mafia and all this other crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, my life is so crazy. The things that I have been a part of and seen, the people that I've met.
How did we go from masturbating to this?
I don't know.
I do feel like it comes full circle, though, because
comes
the stuff...
full circle.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
I think this goes into just the topics we've talked about, is I think most... I'm going to specify and say men, but most men do not go through or have been in a lot of situations when it comes to relationships or OnlyFans, porn, masturbating, blah, blah, blah. I don't think a lot of men have been in a lot of different situations to give them a broad palette of experiences.
The one thing that you guys don't get, like, and there's no way to do it. There's no way to do it without it sounding crass, but like I don't say this at all to brag. I don't. I'm just stating a fact. My sexual exploits are so fucking funny. And if you have the if you have the opportunity to work with me, anybody who's ever worked with me and spent like an actual shift with me, they all ask me every day. They're like, tell me a story. And I always have these, like, I have so many crazy stories because
we've been together almost 8 years now, and I still learn new stories all the time.
I don't know about that. I think I've told you everything.
No.
I went through a 3.5 to 4 year period where I was literally living the pickup lifestyle. So the pickup lifestyle was the predecessor to the red pill community, right? Pickup lifestyle started in the late 90s, early 2000s. There's a book called The Game, and The Game was like the first book to break down the algorithm of picking up women, so to speak, right? Laid it all out. A bunch of nerds in California literally studied and came up with an algorithm to create sexual attraction and tension between a man and a woman.
Mm-hmm.
There's 5 pillars, right? It's attention, interaction, attraction, arousal, and consent. And all relationships go through those 5 pillars. Whether you're talking about selling a car, whether you're talking about creating a YouTube channel where people tune into the YouTube channel, or having a relationship with a woman or a man. Each one of those things goes through those 5 pillars: attention, interaction, attraction, arousal, consent. Right? If Chris Brown meets a woman, or if, I don't know, fucking, who's the guy from The Notebook? From Barbie.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name? Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
If Ryan Gosling walks into a bar, Ryan Gosling might go from attention to consent and bypass all these other steps.
Yeah.
Right?
They made a movie about that. It's called Crazy Stupid Love.
Right? Yeah, 100%.
With Ryan Gosling.
but you still, but those five pillars of those 5 pillars of interaction and attraction, they still exist. Some people are able to bypass that and get from point A to point B, or point A to point Z.
Yeah.
Right? But once you understand those 5 pillars of interaction, then you can sell anything. It's all about selling.
Okay.
Okay? So I lived that lifestyle for like
4 years.
4 years. And I have some crazy ass stories. I'm going to write a book. Guys. Because you have to remember, like, when I got into this lifestyle, it was after being married for 10 years and having 4 kids. So I went through all of this on the heels of being a fucking house dad and playing golf on Sundays and, like, you know.
I just tell myself that it was a really sweet thing when I met you.
Yes.
And not pickup artistry.
No, that was different. I was out of the game by then.
You were not, because you told me that it was a game. I mean, we were like 5.5 years in, so it was, I'm pretty sure we were already living in Portland when you told me, like, really how it all went down with your barber and everything that night. However, clearly I wasn't mad at you for it, so you shouldn't even...
Yeah, it don't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, you know. One thing that I want you guys to get from these podcasts, when Morgan and I do these Security Guard and the Wife podcasts, like, we are so open and honest with each other. We are. We have a great relationship. We get along well. We don't fight. And part of that, I think, is because we just talk about things and we're open with each other. You know, you have to be open and you have to make your partner your best friend. You know, the same stuff that the thing that I think is crazy. Because people will be like, oh, y'all talk about, like, crazy shit. I'm like, bro, we talk about way more crazy shit than that off the fucking...
Yeah, we can't be on camera talking
We
about
can't
crazy
even be
stuff.
on camera talking about half the shit that we talk about.
Yeah.
Right? Someone says, can you repeat those 5 steps? Attention, attraction, interaction, attraction, arousal, consent. Okay? One more time. Attention. Let me break it down for you. All right? You walk in.
Some game.
Let me spit some game. Pull your coat for a second. Who asked this? Phoenix 1. All right, here it goes. You walk into a retail establishment. The Buckle. You go to the Buckle. All right. There's a beautiful lady working at the Buckle. The first thing you have to do is get her attention. Right? Excuse me. Yeah. Hi. I'm looking for a pair of jeans. Can you help me? All right, so right there, you've now gotten her attention, okay? The next pillar is interaction. Of course. What size are you looking for? What style? What kind of jeans do you like? Okay, now right here, you got to start a banter, a back and forth, right? Well, you know, I don't know. What kind of jeans do you like? Like, let me ask you a question. What would look good on me? Oh, I don't know. You might look good in the boot cut. Well, before you answer that, hang on a second. I want you to look at my butt. This is my best size. This is my best side. Right? And she laughs. Ha, 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 ha. You guys go back and forth. You go over. She grabs a couple pairs of jeans. You try them on. Okay, now guess what? That is interaction. Interaction. You're at step 2 already. Okay? The next thing is that you have to create attraction, right? Now, how do you create attraction? You create attraction by displaying your personality, by being funny, by being witty, not by being creepy. And the way that you're not creepy is you have to take the end goal off the table. What is the end goal, Morgan, for a guy?
Of your 5 steps or in general?
What's the end goal? What does he ultimately want?
To get in her pants.
Right. You got to take that off the table. Okay? If that's on the table, it's going to fuck up everything. All right? You can't go in hungry. So you have to have this interaction with this woman from a position of just having the banter. Be witty, be funny, be interesting. Okay? That's a whole different dynamic. So now you've created a little bit of attraction. If you're able to have this conversation, this back and forth, if you can get her to give you a high five, if you can give her to laugh, if you can get her to twirl her hair, all these different signs that are primal symbols that she is showing attraction to you, you've already gotten to step 3. Step 4 is arousal. Might be kind of hard to arouse somebody at their job, and you might not want to do that. So you might have to take the situation to the next location. Hey, would you like to get a drink after work? Would you like to come over? Would you like to meet me at this restaurant? Can I take you to dinner, right? When you get to that secondary location for that date, you might have to start everything all over again. Hey, great to see you. Now we're back at attention.
Yeah.
Now you're having this back and forth at dinner, right? Interaction.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting her back to the point of, wow, he's really cool. He's really cute. He's really got something going for him. That's attraction. Now you're in a secondary location and she's willing to go back to your place or go back to her place. Now you can start working on arousal. Once you get arousal, and you'll know when you have arousal, the most important thing is to now get what? Consent. A lot of guys don't understand that. Consent. There's a moment in which you have to break the conversation and say, hey, look, is there something that you want to do? Are you okay with this? You can leave. I can leave. We don't have to do this right now. Matter of fact, I'm not going anywhere. I like what I see.
I didn't get your consent.
You didn't get mine because, yeah. She took advantage of me. But once you get consent, boom. All right? And that's no different than selling a car. Hey, I'm driving by this car dealership. Look at that red Ferrari. That's attention. Excuse me, can I talk to somebody here about this car? Of course. How can I help you? My name is Damien. That's interaction, right? How much is this car? Can I drive this car? Can I test drive it, right? What are the payments? Blah, 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 blah.
There's attraction.
There's attraction. Tell you what, here's the keys. Take you around the block. You don't need me. Here's a plate. Knock yourself out. Arousal. Right? You come back, you can't pay for that shit fast enough. Sign right here, sir. The car is yours. These are the terms. Consent.
I loved listening to your pickup artistry shit you used to listen to. Oh my God, I would just sit and laugh.
Somebody says, I turned on the screen record for this shit.
I have told him from the beginning of us being together, like, he could be a pickup artist.
I was. Guys, I worked in a strip club strictly because it was like something that I wanted to check off I wanted to check that box of sleeping with a stripper. Because like that was what all the guys that I was reading about.
That it was a female strip club because you have worked at I'll throw you under the bus. You have worked at
I've told them that I've worked at a gay strip club.
So maybe,
I was a DJ.
Maybe you should preface which strip club you wanted to work at.
Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll let you just wonder. Maybe that's part of the arousal.
For me, maybe. I truly would love to know, anyone who's watching, are you guys or gals brutally honest? Oh, I don't want my face on there. Are you brutally honest with your spouses and have serious to God, open and honest conversations?
How many of you have open, honest conversations about these kind of things with your partner? About your past, about your desires, about...
Oh, that was one of my questions. Not that... I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if anyone else has plans and they can get off if they don't want to listen to us. But are you 100% open and honest about the things that you're into?
I have been,
sexually.
Yes.
I'll say that.
Yes.
I'm yeah. Do you think most people are?
Probably not. I was like, what is that flashing? But now I see there's like a
Lightning on
yeah. I'm
TV.
like, the
You
fuck
missed
is
the
that?
boobs. They had boobs about 5 minutes ago on there, but that person got killed. Do you think most people are truly open and honest? This kind of goes back to the OnlyFans and to the porn and blah blah blah. Like, do you think people are truly honest about the things that they're into or they like with
I
their
read
partners?
this is a great wow. You know how you like? I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I read stuff or I hear stuff and I go, "That's interesting." I can't think of a time where that would ever come up, but that was interesting. This is coming up. So there was a porn star by the name of Max Hardcore. Okay, it was an old man who used to wear a cowboy hat. Don't ask me, that was his thing. Okay, and I read an article in like maybe it was Maxim magazine. It was back in the day when like magazines were like, really big, like Maxim or Men's Health or whatever the situation was. But they were talking about like there's no hard fast rule as to what is considered obscene. So if you remember the magazine Hustler, right?
Yeah.
There was a huge Supreme Court case
Yeah.
where they had like try to throw him in jail for making obscene
Right.
materials, right? And so I think the ruling was like, or the case law was like, we can't say what's obscene, but you'll know it when you see it. It's like this sliding scale or something like that. Okay. So this guy had a website back in the day, and I don't know what he was doing on there, but I mean the guy's name is Max Hardcore, so just take that for what it's worth. And he was an old cowboy looking dude with a cowboy hat.
Okay.
They put him in jail for like having obscene materials.
Okay.
This was in like the early 2000s. And they were talking to like the writer of the story, and the writer of the story said that they had interviewed this guy in jail. And he said that when he would sit down with his actors, he would say, these are the 20 scenes that we're going to do. And each one is going to get more increasingly like intense.
Okay.
Right? And he said that he was always searching for that 21st scene. The scene that the people had never brought up, had never thought about, had never like allowed themselves to express. And he was saying that the 21st scene is what people would view as obscene, and that's what put him in prison. Right?
Okay.
And then he was saying from prison that everybody has, and it was a great quote, I wish I could remember it, but he said like everybody has in their mind a 21st scene that they don't let out, and that I'm in jail because I was the only person honest enough to express my 21st scene. How crazy is that?
So we can deduce from that we think people think that they're not truly honest about.
I don't think people are truly honest about anything in life. I feel like very few people are honest. Very few people. Like that's the problem with like our society in general. Most people are not 100% honest. Can you be 100% honest? Can most of the people that are watching right now, can they go to their partner and be like, hey, this is what I feel about our relationship, what I feel about our circumstances, how I feel about myself, how I feel about life? Most people can't have that conversation, right?
Yeah.
If we're just keeping it a buck, I talk to cops all the time on here. Are they 100% honest? I go, you're violating people's rights for X, Y, and Z. Why don't you speak out? Most of them clam up when I say something to that effect, right? Just be honest. Is this okay? Is this right? Should you be doing this? Should you be saying this? Should you be approaching people?
Let's keep it to the relationship.
I'm just saying, though. I'm making a point. Most people don't have the ability to be 100% honest.
Without repercussions.
What are the repercussions?
Well, I mean, you brought up job, repercussion of your job. Do you say something or lose your job? And I'm not saying that they should or shouldn't and which way that swings, but I'm saying, and that could be the same within your relationship.
That's true.
Like,
yeah, because if somebody tells you they're not happy, or they tell you they're not like, they're not satisfied, they're not
Yeah.
Like, that would be a relationship.
Also, I think people don't want to hear it. And I mean this like, I would lay all my shit out. But I know if I opened my mouth at points during this conversation and said something that pertained to me and or me and us, you'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. People
Right, yeah.
So I think that has to be accounted for too, because...
Well, only because of, like, the professional. Like, we're already towing the line. Like, me having these kind of conversations in general is... This is so outside the... Like, you guys have to give us some sort of credit for the fact that we have, like, opened up our lives and opened up these conversations to you guys, because this doesn't do my channel.
But I think it's good for personal morale.
I think it is too. But most people are like, oh, fuck, like, why would you guys talk about that kind of stuff? I think it's important.
Yeah.
Like, I've told I want my kids to be open and honest and transparent. And I think that, like, it's important for us to share this aspect of what it means to work in the security industry. Like, I've said that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is so different than what most people think that, like, my channel should have on it, you know?
Yeah. It's probably because they're not having regular sex. I'm kidding. Oh, gosh. I'm kidding. I'm not.
Well, speaking of sex, it's 9:27, so we should probably,
kick on the OnlyFans channel.
We should probably shut it down and go hit the back room, you know?
Oh, gosh. Did anyone say if they were truly honest with their partners? They may not have.
I think it's funny when I started talking about, like, pickup. Somebody says, can you repeat those 5 steps? Somebody says, drop the sauce. Somebody says, definitely turn on the screen record. Thanks for the info. This is priceless info. Given free, thanks.
I tell him he needs to make a separate channel that's like all kinds of stuff.
Somebody says, training in Utah has an extensive section on sexual harassment and quid pro quo. I didn't understand it at the time as to why. I'm assuming that he does now.
Hopefully not from personal experience.
Yeah, you, like... Guys, it is so easy. Oh, my God. We can go down a completely different path here, but it is so easy for those very innocent, everyday conversations that you have with the female coworker, right? These guys that fall in love and get all sprung over the cashier that's talking to them and giving them attention. It's all well and good. But buyer beware. That's my phrase. Buyer beware. Until she's tired of you, or, her boyfriend has walked by and seen her talking to you in the window and has checked her on it. Now when you come in and you say something, like, it is so easy for you to get caught up in a situation where you think that you guys are having a consensual conversation, and now you're saying something and it's being portrayed as you harassing this woman. You're better off just doing your job, standing your post, and not having these personal conversations. No disrespect to any females that are out there, but you're way better off not having these personal conversations and interactions with these female employees while you're on your post. Because all it takes is for them to just say that you're harassing them. And you're like, well, I'm not harassing them. That's my friend. I'm just talking to her about her day. Well, yeah, now. That doesn't mean that, like, she won't flip the way that she views it next week and doesn't want to talk to you for whatever reason.
And this comes full circle to even coming back at home and people being open and honest. Like, you tell me, it could be you've processed the day, so now it's like 2 weeks later, right, when things happen. But you tell me about things all the time, right, concerning work, because we have the attitude of, you brought this into the relationship, this attitude, but you brought, like, no one is ever going to tell you something about me that you don't already know.
Right.
And sure, it may not be like that same day, but you talk enough about coworkers or people who, they're kind of coworker adjacent, right? The people who work at the store that you are a guard at. You talk enough about those people that there's nothing they could say to me. And this is perfect for what we're talking about, but there's nothing they could say to me that would surprise me, catch me off guard, or be something that I would think you're trying to hide from me.
Right.
You're
Absolutely.
if you're having innocent conversations with someone every single day, and your spouse or your partner at home doesn't know about that has never heard that person's name, and then all of a sudden that person at work claims you've sexually harassed them, or it's gotten too much, and then if I don't know anything about that person and now you have to come home and tell me, like, I got fired or I got moved and here's why, right? Like, it all kind of comes full circle, and how always being open and honest.
Got to be open, honest, and transparent.
And
That's where it's at.
transparent.
That's where it's at. So yeah, well, that's everything. All right, we're at over an hour. I'm gonna go take a quick shower, and then I will. I'll meet you in the back. I'll meet you in the back. Meet you in the back. I can't believe how fast this fucking day went. It's already 9:30.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Please buy a t-shirt or a patch. Help support me, okay? bonesandbrewsecuritygear.com. That way we can keep coming on here and talking about relationship shit. I love you.
Yeah, I love you.
Okay. All right, guys. You know what we're going to be doing.